My name's Duncan Estep. Can you hear me now? Okay, Duncan Estep, and I'm the Center Director for WeldEd. I'm also an Associate Professor at Lorain County Community College, so I actually teach and the like. The majority of the people in here are educators, is that right? Yeah, lots and lots. Okay. Prior to coming to the community college that I teach at, I spent about 22 years in industry, so I'm familiar with the needs, let's say, of what at least the industries I was in, which included heavy manufacturing, and I have always kind of brought that to the training that we do. So WeldEd is an advanced technology education center where we used to be totally funded by the National Science Foundation. Now we're partially funded by the National Science Foundation. So our whole meaning to life is welding education. So vision and mission, blah, blah. Basically, we're a partnership of a number of colleges throughout the country, professional societies, and industrial affiliates. Basically, we are committed to increase the number and quality of welding and material joining technicians. Okay, so by the way, if you have questions at any time, just raise your hand or speak up, because I don't really know if you're listening to me unless you do that, and it's kind of like a classroom thing for me. Our mission is primarily to improve the quality of education and to provide professional training opportunities for welding educators. So our meaning to life is helping you do a better job. These are the partners that we have across the country. Chattanooga State Technical College. Each of these schools, by the way, has a welding technician program. Or in the case of the Ohio State University, they have a welding engineer program. But Chattanooga State Technical College, Lorain County Community College up in Ohio, College of the Canyons out in California, Honolulu Community College in Hawaii. Turns out most of the programs that we do there, the trainings, are fully subscribed. I'm not sure I understand why, but that's the way it works. North Dakota State College of Science. Anybody here from there? There you go. Texas State Technical College. Funny thing happened this week at Texas State. We have a training module that's going on there. We signed up 24 people and 34 showed up. So I guess you don't really have to register, just show up. Yuba College out in California is primarily in an agrarian area, farm area. Weber State University in Utah, that's Ogden, Utah, they have a 4-year technology degree, so halfway between it's a more hands-on type of degree than an engineering degree. We also have a network of over 100 industrial and educational affiliates. So if you aren't an affiliate of WeldEd, you should be. Okay, 308, this is my number. It's different than Monica's, different than Dennis's and everything. Anybody know what that number probably represents? It's either the number of cars that Toyota recalled last year, not to be confused with the 720,000 that GM pulled this year, or it's the number of welding professionals needed by 2019, which you understand is totally different than the number Monica showed you. Well, obviously, it is. The need for welding professionals. Now, I'll define welding professionals by this. Welders, yes, welding technicians, and welding engineers. So individuals that are specific to welding in the industry. About over 300,000 by 2019. And I think that's a conservative number, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Whoops. Okay. This is the same size Monica showed you, but mine has pictures, so it's better. The foreign competition was a big one. That's when everybody was leaving our country, going to lower cost centers, lower cost manufacturing centers. I'm seeing anecdotally, and I've been looking for studies that prove this, but anecdotally, I'm seeing the return of manufacturing, particularly in the area I work. You guys may be feeling the push too. I mean, everywhere you look, it seems that our government is pushing educational opportunities, let's say, to improve our ability to make things. Advanced manufacturing, obviously, Monica already did all these, so I'm just going to skip that. The main thing that I want you to take away from this slide is companies are returning to the U.S. manufacturing base, and as a result, welding is absolutely needed. All right, this is an example. This came out of a newspaper, and I was really careful taking it out, you can see. This is a local company just down the street from Lorain County Community College, which is where WeldEd is, the National Center is located. You're looking at a $168 million investment in the local operations. They're bringing in the 650 and, the Ford 650 and 750 from Mexico, bringing it back to in this case, Ohio. I see company after company doing this. A company I used to work for, Emerson, had shipped all of our products out to China. Those are returning, they're trickling back. And the reason for it, I mean, we can go into, I'm not going to go into detail why that is, but you know, the parity, the cost to manufacture things in other countries has been increasing. China, for example. The lack of protection of intellectual property is driving a lot of people back. The cost of logistics, the cost of shipping has gone through the roof. So what you're seeing is a resurgence, let's say, of manufacturing in the United States. And that's being exemplified by the fact that we continue to see a need for additional welders. The reason I say 3,000 or 308,000 is conservative is because it doesn't, I know how these numbers are generated, and Monica went through a pretty good explanation, and it doesn't take into account the fact that we have companies coming back from the international market to the United States. This is really a good article. It came out of the Wall Street Journal. Welders make $150,000. This was written by Josh Mandel. He's Ohio treasurer. And really what he does is he kind of laments the fact that shop classes, or the ability to make things, has kind of gone away from our educational system. He quotes a Forbes study: 90% of shop classes eliminated from Los Angeles school systems. You're talking impacting 660,000 students. He also goes on to say that an unnamed study, I'll go right, whoops, points to a study done by the Department of Labor. 48% of all college graduates are working at jobs that don't require a 4-year degree. You get that? Half have degrees, and they're working in jobs that they don't need degrees. And what's more, they're talking about young people having a 4-year liberal arts degree, and they're working at Starbucks or part-time at malls because they just can't find the job. So the idea to get a good job, get a good education is a true statement, but you should learn how to do something. And what Josh really talks about, Josh is the treasurer of Ohio, by the way. I wonder if he doesn't have a liberal arts degree. Just seems like he would, I don't know. He talks about a good trade to consider, welding. And his basis is talking to Dan Archer, who owns Pioneer Pipe. It's located, their place of business is located in the Utica and Marcellus shale areas of Ohio. That's where the gas is being collected, fracking, all of that. They pay 60 of their welders over $150,000 a year, 60 of them. And they have 2 that make over $200,000 a year. And they can't find enough welders, so they've turned work down. So how many educators are going back into pipe welding? Yeah. Funny, another story. I was up coming down Pikes Peak, as you know, since everyone's into race car driving here, I was coming down Pikes Peak, and I was kind of race car driving, coming down the mountain. And about 2/3 of the way down, they check your brakes to make sure you're safe. And at about 300 degrees, your brakes start fading and become a real problem. Well, they check my brakes at 680 degrees. So what they do is they put you in a corner. So they put me off in a corner to wait for my brakes to cool down. Now, while I was doing that, I had my WeldEd t-shirt on, and a guy came up to me. And he said, "WeldEd, I heard of that. I saw it on Facebook. That's good stuff." It turned out he was one of these guys that are kind of almost a gypsy welder. He goes from place to place in the country, and he was heading to Ohio, which is the whole point of this story. So there are people that are highly skilled out there, but just not enough. Okay, so this would be in the slides that you have, so it really exemplifies, once again, anecdotally, the demand for welders and welding professionals. There we go. This was a campaign promise by our current president. He basically wanted to focus on the community colleges as the means to train the future workforce of the United States. And although, I don't know, I'm hoping that he keeps this promise. I mean, politicians being what they are, you know, it doesn't matter what your politics are, it's just, you know, politics are what they are. Okay. So this is really what our mandate is. Apparently we have two of them, two number ones and one number three. Increase the number of welding.
Improve math skills.
Yeah, you know, well, you push the wrong button on. Yeah. Who needs math? Increase the number of welding technicians to meet workforce needs. Comprehensive reform of welding technician education, and enhance faculty professional development and continuing education. Basically what the means that we have chosen, because we were funded by this by the National Science Foundation, was to improve the curriculum associated with training, which is really done by you, but give you the means to accomplish that. So our whole deal is to help you do a better job. I've said that before, I'll probably say it 7 or 8 more times. Oh. You know, I actually met him. And I don't care what your politics are, it's really cool to meet a standing president. So. Okay, so this is really what we ended up doing. We came up with a competency model, we turned it into learning objectives. I'm gonna go in detail on these, so don't worry if I'm talking quickly. Developed a number of professional development courses targeted to teach educators how to teach welding technology. And then we have some advanced training that kind of keeps the whole thing fresh. So this is kind of our whole business model of sorts. So the competency model, we basically developed it for welders, welding technicians, and welding engineers, and released it to the Department of Labor. So you can go see this in detail at careeronestop.org. You can go to the WeldEd website, and it was also well defined in the 2010 AWS Welding Journal, April. So it basically breaks out the competencies that are needed. Now from that, we created, and this is a document that's available to you just on a download basis. It's really just student learning outcomes. In defining your particular classes, you need to have a list of outcomes for every class, and this defines, broken down by the different expertise areas, it gives you the learning outcomes. So it's good to get a copy of that. If you come out of nothing else here, remember this and go there and explore around. There's lots of resources available for you there. Okay, professional development. We took those learning objectives, that book of learning objectives, and broke it down into areas of expertise. These aren't classes, but these are areas of expertise. Metallurgy, which is particularly important for welding technicians and engineers, not so much necessarily for a welder, but it's good information for a welder to understand. Metallurgy, this is the one in Waco, by the way, where the 34 people showed up for a class of 24. The cornerstone, cutting and joining processes, is our second module. Third is where we look at design, fabrication, and assembly. So this becomes a lot of the stuff that you need to take a welder and turn him or her into a welding technician. Code, standards, safety, inspection methods, number 4. And then in future times, what we've done is take these areas and infuse them into the other areas. So these are the modules that are available now. 1 week modules, you got about a 60-40 split, classroom and laboratory, and they're basically available. The first 4 I described. The 5th is a laser welding module that's held out in Santa Clarita, California. The 6th one is probably the strongest one that we've developed, in my opinion, and that's instructional design and teaching strategies for welding technicians. What it does is take all the pedagogical stuff that, teach how to teach a person, but what's really cool about it is an instructor who he's the chair at Illinois Central College. He's also a co-PI with Monica and I for the project. District director also, yeah. He's very involved. Rick Polanic, if you know Rick, he takes the pedagogical aspects and brings it home with specific welding teaching strategies. So it's a great class. That was one of the ones that was in Hawaii this year and was so fully subscribed. I don't know which. It's a really good course, or it's Hawaii that drove everybody there. So, you know.
Before you go on, the joining and cutting processes with welding simulation, is the welding simulation in addition to actual real process?
Well, here's the thing. You can buy a welding simulator, but if you don't know how to use it effectively, it becomes a coat rack.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether there was actual real welding and cutting that was done. Or
yes, both. Yeah, this was incremental.
In addition to.
Yeah, the intention here is to teach you how to take that virtual welder and use it effectively in your curriculum. Okay, so like I said, if you know how to use it, it becomes a coat rack. If you know how to use it effectively, it becomes a good learning tool. Make sense?
But there's actual.
Yeah, there's real welding going on. Not everyone has one of these, you know, but we tend to put the module at the places that have them so that they can use. You know, you're talking about a half a day kind of work. Yeah. So no, we don't eliminate it. And studies developed by Iowa State suggest that a combination of virtual and real hands-on is the most effective way to speed training for a welder.
Is this 1 week training, all 6 modules?
No, 1 week per.
1 week per, okay.
Yeah. You know, we actually had one guy that he did a motorcycle trip around the country and hit 4 of the courses, you know, and he's actually on our advisory committee now. Okay, impact, WeldEd. I'm going to flub some numbers also. Again, basically, WeldEd has trained about over 500 instructors since 2011. Now that's corresponding to maybe 2,000 or 32,000 students, or a lot more. Basically, at this rate, we're not going to cover the number of people that we need in industry, so we need a lot more people that know how to train technicians effectively. The State of the Welding Industry Report's one I want to point out to you. That gives a lot of a summary of the information that Monica told you about. There's also the National Perspective on Workforce Trends and Challenges. These are all available either at the WeldEd website, or you can find them on iBooks if you're into iPads, or go to Amazon.com on Kindle. Monica alluded to this, but I just want to re-emphasize it. There are a number of recruiting resources that are free for the asking. All you have to do is go to the website, and you can order the amount that you need. And it's really good recruitment materials. Okay, so new for 2015. So right now, here's what we do. We teach you how to teach welding, and we're not going to make you a better welder, although if you don't know the technology someone was pointing out to me earlier, you'll be exposed to potentially technologies you don't have. We add subjects that are essential to a welding technician, fabrication, the metallurgy, teaching technologies. So this is the additional stuff that we're looking at. We're taking our professional development courses. Why didn't I have spell check on? Professional development courses to an online format. What that means is the lecture portion of them can be done online. You still have to come into a lab and practice. So I don't believe you could really do this on an online format, in most cases, particularly Module 2. We're planning on updating the State of the Welding Industry Report. That's that one that's available on iPad and Kindle. We're developing a national welding curriculum. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to give you every bit of books or anything like that. That's another group's job. Ours is defining what the needs are in a welding curriculum. And we're looking at, in conjunction with the American Welding Society, the International Welding Engineer Program. This is I'm going to say primarily a law-driven or directive-driven need in the European communities where welding engineers of a certain degree are required to certify a weldment of some sort. We are also on the hook with the National Science Foundation. This was the basis of our new grant to develop a community college certification program. So it gives you the ability to validate, let's say, your particular program. So once again, welded.com. Go there, look around. We will be announcing our schedule for next year. So there's lots of stuff available for you to help you do your job.